Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Congratulations on wanting to learn another language and increase your capability as a physician or healthcare provider. Today I will be teaching you some basic medical Spanish in the form of a patient encounter. This is by no means all-inclusive, but it should help you feel a bit more comfortable interacting with Spanish-speaking patients. I will be putting the English sentences on the left and their Spanish translations on the right. I encourage each of you to practice saying everything out loud multiple times, and don't worry about messing up or sounding silly. I am by no means close to fluent, so please feel free to poke fun at my mispronunciations or my accent in the comments below. Alright, let's jump into it. So obviously, if you're introducing yourself, you want to cover three main things. First, you want to tell them your name. Second, you want to tell them what your role is, either at the clinic or the hospital. And third, you want to confirm that this is indeed the patient with whom you should be speaking. So in order to do all of that, you first say, "Hello, my name is Quick," in my case, which would translate to "Hola, me llamo Quick." If I wish to say I am a doctor or I am a student, you say, "Yo soy un médico," or "Yo soy un estudiante." If you wish to ask, "What is your name?" you say, "¿Cómo se llama?" If you wish to ask, "What is your birth date?" you ask, "¿Cuál es su fecha de nacimiento?" And a quick note for those who will either be or currently are pursuing a formal education in any of the Latin-derived languages, there is a formal and an informal way to address somebody. We're always going to be using the formal form because we want to show as much respect to the patients as possible. This might change in certain cultures, but in general, in the hospital setting, you should try to use the formal form to address patients. Okay, and now there are the two most important sentences that you can say. The first one is, "Usted habla inglés?" which just means, "Do you speak English?" If they say yes, you continue in English because that is your native tongue, and you're assuming that they understand as well as you can communicate in English. If they say no, you have to say the second line, which is the most important line, "Necesito llamar a un intérprete." Necesito llamar a un intérprete. That means, I need to call an interpreter. Now, it might seem very obvious, but you have to use an interpreter if you don't speak the language fluently. So, we're always going to ask those two sentences. We're always going to say those two sentences. "Usted habla inglés?" They'll either say yes or no. If they say no, you say, "Necesito llamar a un intérprete." Okay? You have to use an interpreter if you do not speak the language fluently. This is also involving medical legal purposes, but just also for patient safety. You do not want anything to go missed. You do not want anything that could be fatal or that could bring the patient back or that doesn't actually address the problems to occur. So always try to use an interpreter if you can. Sometimes things happen where you can't get in contact with an interpreter right away, or it's an emergency situation. That's when you will be using this basic format that we're going to create. But otherwise, definitely use an interpreter. Alright, let's move on to the history of the present illness. So for the history of present illness, we always want to find out what problem is going on right now. What's the patient suffering from or complaining of? And we want to know a background history, or a little bit of a history at least, on it as thoroughly as possible. Now, since you're watching this video, you don't know Spanish well enough to really question down hard every single little nuance about the patient's condition. So I'm trying to give you some questions that will fulfill the criteria of that mnemonic, right? OPPQRST, for taking an accurate history of present illness. So in order to find out what's going on with the patient, you want to ask, "¿Qué pasa?" If you want to ask when it started, you say, "¿Cuándo empezó?" You want to ask the patient if they took anything for it, so you say, "Toma algo por ello?" You want to ask if it's better or worse. So you say, está mejor or peor. Then you want to ask if they have any other problems. So you say, tiene otros problemas. And that should be enough. It's not going to be a very satisfactory, all-encompassing history of present illness, but it should be at least enough to jot down on paper and something that could, start the deductive reasoning process as to what might be going on, how the patient's current status is, if they're stable, if they're not stable. We're going to get into a review of systems shortly, but this is by no means extensive. This is just kind of to get you to go to the next step. This is supposed to get you a general understanding of their current ailments. All right, so with that being said, let's move on to the review of systems. So a review of systems is just a series of yes or no answered questions to kind of divulge some more information that might have been lacking in the history or anything subsequent that's going on in conjunction with whatever the current illness is or the current symptoms and signs of this patient are. So we want to sometimes ask about pain. We want to ask about difficulty with certain bodily functions. With regard to the pain aspect, there's a general portion of a phrase that you use that you could just add on a word to at the end to kind of get a better picture of whatever's happening with this patient. So if you want to ask if you have pain in your wherever, you say le duele su. Now you could say, do you have pain in your head? Le duele su cabeza? Do you have pain in your neck? Le duele su cuello? Do you have pain in your chest? Le duele su pecho? Your back? Espalda? Your abdomen or your stomach? Estómago? Your arm? Brazo? Your leg? Pierna? Your foot? Pie. So just practice picking out random words from the list and going through each one and just practice saying this, because this is a quick way to see if the patient's having just general pains anywhere. And like I said before, we also want to know if the patient's having difficulty doing certain bodily functions such as breathing, seeing, eating, etc. So just generally, we're going to do the same thing here, kind of like what we did with le duele su, and we're going to ask, ¿Usted tiene dificultad con, which means do you have difficulty with? If you wish to say breathing, respirar, seeing, ver, eating, comer, drinking, beber, walking, caminar, urinating, orinar, or defecating, defecar. All right, so a full sentence would be something along the lines of, ¿Usted tiene dificultad con respirar? Right? Or usted tiene dificultad con caminar. So these are just different ways that you could see if there's anything else going on with the patient before you move over to the physical exam. Before you do any physical examination of the patient, you must always ask, as long as they're able to provide it, consent for the exam. So in order to do so, in order to say, can I do a physical examination, you say, ¿Puedo hacer un examen físico? Right? So, ¿Puedo hacer un examen físico? Now, during the exam, you're going to have instructions for patients. You usually start at the head and you work your way down. So, one of the typical things is you want to say, look at me, or follow my finger. So, if you want to say, look at me, you say, mírame. If you want to say, follow my finger, you say, sigue mi dedo. Open your mouth would be, abre la boca. Stick out your tongue, saca la lengua. And if you want to tell the patient while they're sticking out their tongue to say ah, you say dígame ah, or whatever you want to say. But yeah, just say dígame ah. Okay, and now we also have to do our auscultation with our stethoscopes, right? So what are you going to listen to? The heart, the lungs, the stomach, the abdomen. So in order to ask, can I listen to, you have to say, ¿Puedo escuchar a? If you want to say your heart, su corazón. If you wish to say your lungs, sus pulmones. Your stomach, su estómago. So just to practice in a full sentence, repeat after me. ¿Puedo escuchar a su corazón? ¿Puedo escuchar a sus pulmones? puedo escuchar a su estómago. Now, during the physical exam, you're going to have other instructions or questions for the patient. So, especially when we're doing our palpatory exam, or even just auscultating, right? We're still in auscultating, so let's stick with that for now. If you want the patient to take a deep breath, we say take a deep breath in English, but that translates to respira profunda in Spanish. Right? If you want to tell the patient to lay down on their back for their abdominal exam, you say acuestarse de espaldas. If you want to ask, does it hurt when I touch here? You say, ¿le duele cuando toco aquí? And that should be a general physical exam for you. There's a whole bunch of other maneuvers or things that you might want to do, but this is supposed to be very superficial. We could go into it in further videos, but this is just like the level 1 of basic medical Spanish. All right, we can move on to the assessment and plan. So for the assessment and plan, you can break it up into tests or images that you need to order. You could describe the medical condition, and you want usually to have instructions for either medications or follow-up. So let's start with tests and imaging. You want to tell the patient we need to do, either a blood test, a urine test, etc. In order to say we need to do, that translates to necesitamos hacer. If you want to say a blood test, un análisis de sangre. A urine test, also known as a urinalysis, un análisis de orina. An X-ray, una radiografía. An EKG, un electrocardiograma. A biopsy, una biopsia. So just to practice one, we'll say we need to order an X-ray. So necesitamos hacer una radiografía. Let's move on to describing the medical condition as if we're telling the patient what we think that they have, which is the whole reason why we're doing the tests in the first place. So in order to say, I think that you have, you want to say, creo que tiene, right? Creo que tiene. I think that you have. So if you want to say an infection, una infección, a genetic disease, una enfermedad genética, an autoimmune disease, una enfermedad autoinmune, a myocardial infarction, un infarto de miocardio, a stroke, un derrame cerebral, or cancer. So just an example, if you want to say, I think that you have an infection, you say, creo que tiene una infección. Or if you want to say, I think that you have cancer, unfortunately, you would say, creo que tiene cáncer. Now we can move to the instructions or the follow-up. So if it's an infection, you're going to usually prescribe antibiotics if it's bacterial or fungal. So let's pretend as though this patient has a bacterial infection and we say, you need antibiotics. So you would say, necesita antibióticos. Now the instructions for antibiotics vary. So let's assume that it's a pill, right? So you want to say, take one pill. You want to say, toma una pastilla. Now if you want to say per day, that translates to por día, in the morning, por la mañana, at night, por la noche, with food, con comida, or without food, sin comida. Right, so you could say, if you want to say, take one pill per day in the morning with food. Toma una pastilla por día, por la mañana, con comida. And you could pick and choose whichever ones you want. You could add another day on. You could change the number of pills, right? Dos pastillas, so on and so on. So this is just to give you a basic way to communicate the instructions to the patient effectively. And finally, we want to worry about following up, right? You usually want this patient to follow up in either a few days or a few weeks or months, because you want to see how they're doing. You want to see if they're getting better or if you need to change the plan. Maybe you were wrong. So usually you want to say, return here in however many times. So I'm going to say 2 weeks, right? Return here in 2 weeks. So to say that, you say, vuelve aquí en 2 semanas. Vuelve aquí en 2 semanas. And then you always want to say this. If you feel worse, go to the hospital, right? Go to the emergency room. So in order to say, if you feel worse, you say, si se siente peor, right? Si se siente peor, ve al hospital. So if you feel worse, go to the hospital. Si se siente peor, ve al hospital. Right? Because you do not want them to get sick, stay at home waiting for their return into your clinic or to the hospital in however many weeks. If they're getting worse, you want them to come to the emergency department as soon as possible. Okay, let's move to the end of the encounter. So at the end, it's just your basic formalities and your civilities. You want to always, say that it was nice meeting the patient and that you hope that they feel better. And of course, you need to say bye. So how do you say, it was nice to meet you? All you say is, mucho gusto. If you wish to say, I hope you feel better, bye, you say, espero que se siente mejor, adiós. All right, so that would kind of sound something along the lines of, mucho gusto, espero que se siente mejor, adiós. And that concludes our first video on medical Spanish. I hope it helps. Go through this as many times as you want. Just try to memorize all these things. It's not too much. You guys have memorized over probably 70,000 different flashcards and all these conditions. So 25, 30 sentences should be absolutely nothing for you. And it will go a long way since the amount of Spanish-speaking population in the US has been increasing every year. So this will really broaden your capabilities. It'll help you bond more with the patient. It'll make them feel more comfortable. And hopefully you'll feel more comfortable. All right, that's it. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you in the next video.